Hello.
Morning.
Okay, let me do the volume thingy. Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Ah, superb. Just go to this little thing here.
Oh, hi, Simon.
Yo, what's up? Who's that, my bro? Yo, Sai, well done.
Here, I'm sorry I lost you. I had to tell Marvin I was on Instagram Live.
Yeah, oh man.
Cool. So we're going to give a few people a couple more minutes just to start joining, and then we'll go through the conversation with Marvin.
Yeah, baby. AKA Terty9photography. That's right. Don't
See,
forget
that's
it.
a bit. There you go. Thank goodness. Yeah, because I'm like, Marvin, no, Terty9 photography.
Terty9, isn't it?
Probably right.
Cool.
So how are you
Say again?
How are you this morning?
Yeah, good. Yeah, really good. Got a nice sleep. Yeah, this is the times I'm waking up is later than my normal time. I'm normally up at 5:30. So yeah,
Dude, I'm like 7 o'clock. I'm comfortably waking. It's not okay. Up at like 5 every day before. It's not okay.
Exactly. Yeah, this is like a lay-in.
But dude, I feel like I'm on like a juxtaposition of a holiday, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm at home. It's very strange. It's really bizarre.
one of those holidays, but you can't go anywhere. You know when you book a holiday to like a dead location, out of season.
In the kitchen, she'll take her 10-minute coffee breaks from the garden in the kitchen. She's like, "No, I just want to sit in the kitchen." I'm like, I sat up for 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what. Sometimes you need to change the scenery.
Just let you know, your mic, I don't know if you're getting the same from me, but your mic's cutting out slightly.
Oh no. I'm not getting it. It's all gravy. I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I was going to say, anyone watching, if you experience any problems, like the sound goes or anything, just leave a comment, just so that we know. Yeah. Cool. Let me see, what time is it now? It's 3 minutes past or 5 minutes past.
Yeah.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, let's do it, Marv. So, if we can just get your basic introduction of your art and who you are.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, I go by the name of Terty9photography. My style, I've only been shooting for about 3 years now. Yeah, I think it's just gone on 3 years. Literally at the beginning of February was.
Sorry.
It
was so long, but like 3 years is not
actually. Yeah, I know, time flies. So yeah, I've been doing this 3 years now. Actually, originally got into the photography side of things, taking pictures of graffiti. So I have another page, Hardgraff39. Yeah, shout out to all my writers out there that have supplied amazing material for my page over at Hardgraff39.
You photographed like epic graffiti, and you know some epic artists. They're amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really nice side thing to be doing. So yeah, basically the photography side of it, how Terty9photography was born, was just basically off the back of the Hardgraff39 and me taking pictures of walls and graffiti events and artists. As I started to work with the artists every now and again, I'm trying to capture some of the artists, trying to capture their faces, I'm at events and capturing the vibe of the event. And I kind of thought, well, do you know what? It's great having my graffiti side of things, but I'm actually liking this, people watching, taking pictures of people, just doing stuff. It's really weird. It's, sometimes it's just people talking or like a hand gesture or something just captures my eye. And I take the picture, I go home, I go through my pictures, and I'm like, hey, that's kind of good. So I thought, let me try my hand at actual photography, whether it be portraits, whether it be, products or something like that. And yeah, since then, everything just sort of grown from that point there.
Because to be fair, like the other day we did a showcase on your stuff, and I just went through your page, and like there's a lot on your page, but it's been so nice to go through your progression from like the beginning of your page to go all the way through all those pictures and just choose the ones. Not necessarily did I see them all, but it was nice to know who you are and see that journey through your page. It was really cool. And thanks, Vasco, for pausing Joe Rogan to be here. It's worth it.
What? He paused Joe? I feel special. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And I do take a look back, and I do take in the feedback that I get from people, and I can see the progression myself. What's really good is I try to flash back. Obviously, over the time, my photography skills have improved. You know, I'm learning my, still understanding my camera. So don't think that, you know, I know everything about my camera, about photography. Literally, I'm just learning as I go. But the way I like to learn is I like to learn from the ground up. So, you know, go out, do my own thing. I've done a few projects with different photographers, and that's where I've really learned how to, you know, utilize my camera and taking a look at their style and, you know, what can I take from them to add to myself, but still keep my style authentic. So you'll see a big leap in about 2018, I think it was. I went over to Berlin to work with a guy who's on Instagram. He goes by the name of Berlin City Lights. So that's Berlin City Lights. And we kind of met on Instagram. It's a really weird story because we actually met before. But yeah, that's like another story. I'll probably tell that story another time because it's quite a long story. But met up with this guy.
These good stories, man.
Yeah, trust me, along the along the journey, there's some crazy stories, but I just go with it. So I met this guy, Berlin City Lights. You know, hit him up over the internet. A couple of friends actually introduced me, so he actually knew some of my friends already. So yeah, we hooked up, went over to Berlin, and this guy showed me around. He took me some really nice graffiti spots. He showed me around my camera. He showed me how to get people to model as well, which was a really good experience because you don't know how much goes into the actual modeling. You just think people turn up, they get to, you know, strike a pose, and then, you know, so there's a lot into it, and it's actually quite, it takes a lot of energy. I don't want to say draining, but if you're not physically fit, it can actually be quite draining, holding poses and, you know, doing shots over and over. So anyway, this guy, I think when I came back from Berlin, I think you'll see the difference in my style, how it started to grow and change, and I really started to, you know, really push my limits on that. And I think from there, that was a breakthrough because it was really nice to actually feel like it was separate from my Hardgraff39. It actually felt like I was doing two different things. When I would go out and do projects, I would normally separate them. I would say I'm going out and doing a project for graffiti, and then I'm going out and doing a project for Terty9 photography. So yeah, and I love looking at the stuff that other photographers are doing. And I find it really inspiring that with so much content out there from amazing photographers, that people are still finding their own way. They're still managing to put a signature on their work. And that was one of my biggest things that I wanted to do when I first started, was have my own signature, have my own style. I want people to look at a picture and say, yeah, that's Terty9 photography, which I'm already getting that feedback. You know, at the beginning, it was like, you know, why did you take that picture like that? Why did you add this effect? Why did you do that? You know, it would look better like this. And you know me already, I was like, because I wanted to. You know,
because I do what I want.
Do what I want. I'm a boss.
You can see like the style, like I'm saying, like even seeing the progression of your different subject matter, you can see in your editing and stuff like that. And even the more like you would invite us more and more to different art events and photography things, like it kind of consumed a lot of your life sort of, as I knew you, to be fair, like photography became super important. Do you think that the Berlin thing was super fundamental in your change from the graffiti like mindset?
I think before I went, I think
like your eye, because you have a good eye.
Yeah, I think so. Basically, when I joined back in the beginning of 2017, I actually added Berlin City Lights. So he basically joined. We joined at roughly around the same time, basically. And when I initially started it, it was off the back of me getting an injury. So I had a groin injury. So I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, training with London shoot fighters, was competing with them. And I was like, you know what? I took a break. From competing, I want to get back into it. This year I'm going to train. I'm going to train so hard that, my coach is going to see that I deserve a purple belt because I'm going to put so much dedication into it. And then I got a groin injury at the beginning of the year. So I said, all right, rest. Okay, I'm ready. Go back. And then I obviously didn't rest enough. I didn't do the things, a bit hard-headed sometimes when it comes to those things. So I went through a period of, just so you know, guys, this lady here, Missy Lee, has known me for 16 years. So this is why we got the relationship. She survived. She survived. So, so basically, I was like, okay, it went through a period of me just kind of like, going through this downtime. I don't want to say, I hate to use the word depressed because I don't think I ever get in that situation, but I do get my downs. Those moments when you're a short period of time where you're like, oh, what am I doing? And you're a bit stuck and I'm all in my head. I'm all in my own head. So I just said to myself, you know what? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just said, started to look at the inspiration around me. I said, you know what, Bob, just chill. Don't do anything. It will come to you. So funnily enough, a guy I was working with on this whole crypto thing, cryptocurrency, there's a cryptocurrency called Steam. He was a big inspiration for me, a guy called Nanzo Scoop. I think you met him. And, he put me onto this crypto thing. That was a nice distraction. It was really nice to get involved in. And so I started to look at ways I could actually add good content to this new site called Seemit. And I sat down with myself and I said, you know what? I've always wanted to do photography, but before I go and buy a camera, I need to decide what it is, what kind of photography I'm going to do. So I was like, landscapes. I love looking at pictures of landscapes, but I don't think that's going to keep my interest for long. Portraits, again, I love looking at portraits, but again, I didn't think it would keep my interest. So as I was going through like my Facebook and all that stuff, I was looking at some of my trips to Berlin, Amsterdam, Brazil, all these kind of places. And I noticed that I was taking pictures of graffiti, just like for no apparent reason other than the fact that I really like graffiti. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take pictures of graffiti. And then I sat down with some friends and, I bought this camera and I told a few friends what I was going to do. And obviously, they know that I love when I get involved in something, I really get involved. And so they were like, and I've normally got a plan. Marv normally has a plan. Like I can probably detail it from the beginning. Exactly, yeah. Start of Jan to the end, So then when they were asking me, like, what are you going to do with it? My reply was, I don't know. Like, so where are you going with it? Wherever it goes. So I think a few people initially at first were a bit confused. Like, it's that bit where you've got a really good friend and you've got the faith in them, but like something's changed. Like they're not giving me the information they would normally give. So, so from there, it kind of like went on. And, I bumped into Berlin City Lights on Instagram. He joined roughly around the same time and he takes amazing portraits. Like this guy is next level. Like when I say next level, his portraits are absolutely next level. So, you know, we're following each other throughout this time at this point. So I'm going to say he was probably my inspiration in regards to portraits, just simply because I was following him in his portraits and they were really amazing. You know, for the first period of time, it was pictures of just him. It was him just like, he's got this face that he's got 1,000 faces. Yeah, he's got 1,000 faces. So imagine I'm following this guy and every time he's posting a picture, it's of him, but it feels like it's a different person. So when I actually met him and got to know him a little bit better, and, you know, he was inspiring me, and he used to be a writer as well. So that was a great connection. The fact that he understood graffiti. He was the one that got me the hook up to get access to Devil's Mountain, which anyone can get access to, but literally he made one phone call and he was like, yeah, I'm taking you there and you're getting in for free. Like, this was it. Imagine, I've just met this guy and this guy's doing these kind of things for me. And then I actually took one of my favorite photos is of him. And I think when I took that picture, sorry?
The one of him in the red hoodie.
Yeah, exactly. The one that was at my exhibition. So when I took that picture, in my mind, I've got to do this guy justice. Like, he's already got the face. I need to make sure my photo is on point. So it was a little bit of pressure, but I love pressure. And it turned out amazing. And so, yeah, I think that was, it was a turning point, but I think I'd already had the inspiration just before I went. And I think that's why I was so excited to go to work with someone who was doing something totally different from me. Obviously, as we got talking on the lead up to me going, I found out a little bit more about him. And again, to see that we had similar interests, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, he used to work the doors back in the day in Berlin, you know.
Yeah, you do. That's such a connection. All the martial artists, you know, like the relationships you build with these people are, and I really find it like being exposed to martial arts through you and like that whole world, they're a lot calmer, they're a lot nicer, they're a lot more relaxed. It's nice to be around men like that and to be introduced to that world. It makes the connections that you build, it, from my point of view, through looking at your life, really, really strong. And these people do incredible things for you. And obviously, you're an incredible mate, you know what I mean? But they do wild things for you. It's really cool.
Yeah, nice. No, 100%. 100%. The martial arts side of things, you know, for me, that's a big take on it. You know, I give a lot of respect to like all the various martial artists that have helped me along my journey. So not just inside the training and on the mats, but the outside, you know, to be able to see confident, strong people be so humble in certain situations. You know, their first draw, so funny enough, is not to go to the fist or to go, you know, to raise a foot or to choke someone out. It's the way that they conduct themselves, the way that they deal with situations, and the fact that it's so transferable. I mean, you get so many challenges, you know, doing kickboxing, doing jiu-jitsu, doing boxing on a regular basis. You know, if you can turn up, you know, when you get to that point where you're like, I miss being kicked in the face. I miss you.
I remember when I was really struggling and you put me in the time, I would want to vomit at the end of Ash's classes, and I'd be like, I can't wait to be punched in the stomach over a little bit sick. Like you can't wait for that moment. It's quite crazy.
It's character building, 100%. Every day you go to class, and you know that this challenge is facing you, and you've voluntarily turned up. You're paying for this. Yeah, you're paying for this challenge. You're actually paying for this challenge. So, like, it's transferable. Like those emotions, those feelings, those skills that you're learning. Because remember, a lot of those people who are doing the martial arts, they're like friggin'. They've got other lives. Not all of them, rely on martial arts for a living. You know, a lot of them, you know, they're builders, they're business people, they're business owners, they're managers, they're, people that work, key workers that work in Sainsbury's and NHS, all of those kind of things. So, you get to see a totally different character that you might just see on the road. But also as well, it's a very humbling experience because, I come from what people call a rough area in London, Harlesden, Stonebridge, Church Road, Neasden, all those kind of places. That's where I'm from. And, there's a lot of tough, strong people. And I don't want to say tough guys because I think a lot of people are very strong just because of conditions that they're raised around. And to them, it's normal. They only know that it's different when they have to go to work and they have to meet people who are not from those surroundings. And that's when you notice that things are different. You watch TV, you go into the real world, you go to work and all that stuff. That's when you notice things are different. So it's very challenging, but to you, when you're born in that kind of environment, it's normal. Yeah. So when you go to martial arts and you see people that you look at and you think, what the hell is this guy going to do? I'm the toughest on the block and, you know how many fights I've been into and all this kind of stuff. And then you see this little guy or girl and they just light you up. And you're just like, whoa, hold on a second. Hey, slow down there. Hey, wait. You're not meant, in my world, you can't do that. But now I'm in their world. Do you know what I mean? I'm in their world. And, just keep making sure we stick to the photography topic. When I was facing challenges, I went back to my martial arts. I went back to that mindset. I went back and looked at the people.
Segue you into the next thing with this, so it's not all.
Yeah, come on.
Marvin, but it's also I'm not here this game. But do you think the kind of time that I know you dedicate to stuff? Because a lot of people around me, since setting up Hanway and doing all these things, a lot of excuses come up. Like, I work full time.
Yeah.
Now, I know you work full time. I know you also train. I know that you make the time for this. So do you feel that discipline from that martial arts side has helped you to be structured and disciplined enough to dedicate, because you dedicate as much time as some people who do it full time. Like, I see when you load a project, you're on it and people know, and you go out of your way. Do you feel like that discipline has come from that martial arts background, or those kind of people around you who are always so disciplined?
So I'm going to say the discipline comes from my mom. Yeah, 1,000,000%. Yeah, 1,000,000%. Like, I ain't funny. Like, Mum Fu outdoes any martial arts I've ever done. I'm telling you.
Everyone.
You know what I mean? Mum Fu. So I think my mum was a single parent. My dad was around, but they weren't together. So she's a very, very tough, very strong character. She had to be. Where she grew up. Originally sort of like North London, and then moved down to Northwest. Yeah. So basically, she's raising two young children. I have an older. One of my sisters is 3 years older than me. In a rough area, she's working 2 jobs. But so she's managing that. She's managing her kids, along with family members who are, looking after us and stuff like that. And then she's still going out and enjoying her life. She's still got friends.
Yeah.
So I think seeing that, and she's still got discipline. I remember when my mum used to smoke cigarettes, and then one day, this is like years ago, literally one day, she said she's going to stop smoking, and I never saw her smoke a cigarette again.
Damn.
Just like that. And I think that stuck with me because I've had similar situations where I can just go, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't do it. And it feels normal. So I think definitely in my environment, my mum, my sisters, and my brother, you met a few of my sisters. In fact, I think you've met a few of my sisters, one at my exhibition, and then when we were in Amsterdam recently. And they're all, my brother as well, they're all very inspiring. They all get down.
Great.
They all get down. Candice is a teacher. My sister, she's a deputy head of a school. My sister Patsy is a key worker. She works with people with mental health. My sister Cole, she's like, she's probably like me, where she does loads of stuff. You know, she went and she learned sign language, and those two, they're 50 plus, by the way. You know, and they're still doing stuff. They're still, you know, seeking more things to do to improve themselves. You know, Cole's always improving herself.
Amazing. And all of us wanted to go to all your family members. The 50 pluses. I can't. All very accomplished.
Yeah.
Like together people. They're really great around new social situations. They're really funny. Like they're a nice bunch of people. And that to me and your family is very inspiring. So
yeah. Look at Glenn. Glenn, you know, left England, moved to Germany, got married, had kids, you know,
in the 70s.
Yeah, you say the 70s.
Well, never. Like, it was a long...
he's not that old. Huh?
Come on, when did he go there? Yeah, maybe he was born in...
He moved in he moved in the 90s. 70s, like good 20 years. good 20 years earlier. But no, yeah, he's been over there for 20 plus years. So, you know, I'm in good contact with them. So they inspire me a lot in regards to keeping the discipline. Yeah. But to be fair, I'm kind of relaxed. Like for me, I think it comes naturally in regards to, I'm someone who likes to do loads of stuff anyway. What I used to do before is I'd see something, like it, do it. Once I felt like I'd got a lot of information on it, I'd then see something else and be like, squirrel, and then I'd jump on that. And then you get to a stage where you're watching some of your friends who are stuck to one thing and they're, you know, becoming really successful. And I said to myself, like, I'm not money orientated, but I need to understand that to do the things that I want to do, I do need to have money. So I started to use my skills that I learned in IKEA to sort of like how to manage my work. So the marketing side of things, how to put my stuff out, how to chop things up. And one of the ways that I started this was on the Instagram. So when my first full month, which I think was March, I looked at how many followers I had, and I said, okay, I reckon I could get 100 followers a month by the end of the year. So I needed 1,200 followers by the end of the full year. And basically, I looked at my strategies and stuff like that and posted in a specific way. And lo and behold, by October, I had 1,200 followers. And then so when I hit that target, I actually slowed down and started to look at other ways I could actually progress, which gave me so much time to revamp or up my style and up my work rate for the following year. You know, really look at my projects in advance. So I think it's just about managing time and being honest with yourself. And, you know, this current situation, like I'm talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people are, you know, feeling it, the emotional side of it. And not to say I'm not, but I'm really enjoying it because I'm quite comfortable in my own head. Yeah. You know, I do a lot of work with my mindfulness coach, Guy from Mindfulness News. He's on Instagram as well, Mindfulness News. We done a meditation yesterday in the morning. He done a group meditation that I joined in on, and then he gave me a call afterwards, and we had a really nice talk. And I think it's really important to know yourself. Whenever you're going to commit to something, know yourself. Spend some time with yourself, and times like this are the perfect times to get to know yourself. Even if, you know, you've got a household full. I'm by myself. I'm in my flat. I'm by myself. But I'm not by myself because I always feel as though I have a bit of you, a bit of Mikey, a bit of, you know, my instructor Curtis, you know, a bit of my mom, a bit of my sister, a bit of my brothers, a bit of some of my close friends with me all the time. So whenever my thoughts run in a certain direction, yeah, I'll stick with it for a little bit because I want to, like I said, I want to get to know myself. Where am I going with this? But with the help of, you know, since I've been working with Guy and Mindfulness News, it's really helped me to channel my thoughts and calm myself down. So at this present moment in time, I'm finding this fun. Obviously, I understand that it's, really bad times, and, anyone, even my family, my mum's ill, my gran is ill, my mum and my gran live together. And they're both fall into that category of, at risk. I went down there to help them out on Wednesday, do a bit of shopping and, all this kind of stuff, and spend a bit of time with my mum. It was really good. It was really good to see her, upbeat through these times. And, we spoke about, we can't touch and all that kind of stuff, blowing the virtual kisses and all that stuff, cracking some jokes. I'm old enough now to tell her a few things that I did that she can't get me for, and I made sure I kept my distance, so in case, keep the shoulders loose, Marv, in case the slipper comes. And yeah, so it's for me, it's really good being able to manage myself in these situations. Now, a lot of people can't, or don't know how to, or they don't know how to take note of when they've got through a really hardcore situation that they thought at the time was going to be the end of them. Yeah. They thought this is the end. In that moment, they were like, this is the end. I got bills coming through. I've got, people chasing me. I'm behind on my rent and this. And then all of a sudden they get through, and then they forget all of that. It's transferable. Those situations, what you did is transferable. Like, what you can do is transferable. So I'm really loving the fact that, it's a difficult time. I'm having to spend a lot of time with myself. I'm really loving, because I'm not really a person to talk on the phone. I'm not really a fan of that. I love the one-to-ones, the indirect contact with people. I love to see body language. Even with stuff like this, like, we can't really see our full body language and stuff like that. And we know each other, so me and you are quite relaxed. Me and you can talk about absolutely anything, and feel comfortable, with it. But be able to have a conversation with yourself without having a distraction, without having, I've got to go to bed, or I've got to go to work, I've got to get on a train, having all those distractions, waiting for the bus. Now we have to sit in our own head. Yeah. And it seems that people are really, really finding it difficult. What I'm enjoying is, or what I'm finding fascinating is, all these people that are, now on social media, and, they've got a lot of time on their hands, and they're chasing up conspiracy theories and on both, 5G and COVID and all that kind of stuff. And they're really working themselves up, not realizing you don't have your normal distractions. Now that's really going to sit in your head. It's an opportunity to take note, and really look at yourself and say to yourself, wow, how much time do I spend on negative thoughts? Mm-hmm. So it was the negative thoughts that drove me. It was me accepting the negative thoughts and just literally letting go. But I had to notice those negative thoughts first. So, people always see me smiling, joking, laughing, and a lot of people don't think I have a downtime, but I try to let go of the concept of time. Mm. I try to enjoy the journey, I try and, say to myself, this is the beginning. The middle is going to be me, moping around, why always me? Like, I do that. I am that person as well. I am that person, like, fuck's sake, like, why did that happen to me? But I have these little things. I'm able to pull myself back and say, okay, you're being negative.
Very conscious, like, you've even had a fight with me about how negative I was being, and I wasn't even necessarily conscious, but it was the dialogue that I was having with you, because we were so close. I would feel okay to talk to you about really negative things, and it wasn't conscious to me that it was all the time like that. But when you pulled me up and you were like, you can't just be negative and shitty all the time. And I wasn't conscious, but I wasn't sharing my joy with you either. So every time I would talk with you, it would be, here's a shoulder I can lean on. But it also becomes fun for you to then communicate with me, because it's, this is going to be tough because you emotionally connected. You don't take it necessarily, but it becomes like, well, are you just going to complain, or are we going to move on to, because you need to nurture those relationships as well and bring people, like the Rickylee that appeared in IKEA, like, she's exhausting now. I don't have the energy to maintain that person any longer. Like, there's time alone has made me really sit down and be like, okay, you don't have to be like that if you don't want to be like that. You don't have to let other people's emotions drag you into that negative space where you're always on the defensive.
Yeah.
So the mindfulness stuff and being present, like when people say they're bored at this time, I don't understand with the internet how you can say that you're bored. Like you can say that you're lazy, but you can't say that you're bored in these times. That's what's very frustrating for me, is like, there's loads of stuff I can be doing, but I know I'm lazy.
Yeah.
I don't but at the end of the day, sometimes I'll go, now I've rearranged my jewelry. It sounds so stupid, but that weird stuff checked off the list, you know, so I then don't have an excuse to not paint or not draw. Because those are easy to be like, oh, I'm not creative right now, but get rid of the little things that are stopping you, because it's you that stops you at the end of the day, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. It's all choice. Like you hit the nail on the head, and you hit a good note there in regards to our relationship. And just to say now that obviously even our journey, I take that as inspiration, because when I have those conversations with you and I'm learning and something's ticking in my head and I'm like, I'm concentrating on your language and I'm like, she's using a negative word, she's using a negative word, she's using a negative word. And then we go away, we come back and I'm seeing a repetition of it. And like most of my close friends will tell you, I am honest with you. I am raw, but I'm not raw in a sense of, you know, each individual. I understand my friends, so I know who needs to get told, shut the fuck up. And I know who needs to get told, can I grab your attention for a second? You know what I mean? I have different approaches for different friends based on what really grabs their attention. And the language a lot of the time is the problem, because we utilize these words, we use these words all the time, and we forget the negative weight that it carries. And you can say, oh, but I don't mean it in a negative way. But when you turn on the TV, when you go out into the other world where everybody's using that word as a negative thing, in your subconscious, that word carries some negativity. And when you find yourself constantly using specific language, and I think it's very important to understand it. So it's all great me coming to you and saying to you, oh, you're so negative, go negative. But then if I go away and I'm doing the same thing, then it means I'm not, even though I'm telling you, I'm not really understanding it, because I'm not able to use it for myself. So a lot of the time, before I can say anything to anyone, I have to understand it. So even though I'm upfront and honest, I won't always say something straight away, because I think it's more important to deliver the message in the right way than just give the message, because just giving the message doesn't help anyone.
Honesty without tact is just cruelty.
Yeah, when you can't comprehend what I'm trying to say.
And like, when I swear all the time, when I'm in a confrontation with someone, my swearing just cuts out. Like, because I want you to hear me. I don't want you to go, oh, she said shit and fuck. But I want to care enough to give you this feedback. So I also need to care enough to reflect on how are you going to, if I attack your ego, will you hear me? No. So maybe if I put myself in a slightly lesser position to be like, hi, you know, can I just share something with you? Are you ready for feedback? You know, those kind of things people take for granted, but you don't always get asked for your opinion, but so often you'll give it. And you think, ask me for my opinion, where they're not just maybe just getting something off their chest. And so quick, we're like, I'll speak to you, I'll help my friend. But it's how you deliver that honesty and that tact that is why I can see so many people around you deliver these fantastic experiences for you, because you are always honest 100%. The authenticity, even to be uncomfortable with your mates, is more important that you're honest. Then everyone loves you. You know, like I have a problem with someone that everyone loves, because you haven't really exposed who you are. And we all have our faults and positive and negatives, but have you really shown who you are to these people? Because you cannot be loved by everybody. You can't. You're not going to be everyone's flavor. You can be respected by a lot of people that don't like you, but you can't get that.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, you know, making sure we're staying on the topic of the art and, you know, whatever it is you do, this is, again, is transferable. So what's probably difficult for artists You know, I believe I'm a different type of artist. I never thought that before until people started to tell me it, because as far as I was concerned, I'm just taking pictures.
Yeah.
But I do understand now. You know, I am performing, or I am in a type of art form. And what I find is with a lot of artists, with a lot of writers, got a lot of on their shoulders, and this art is their expression. So despite them using loads of bright colors and, you know, really amazing pictures, there's a lot of pain behind those pictures. And this is a problem for a lot of artists, because it's a catch-22, isn't it? If your pain is your inspiration, then when you do all these things to get rid of that pain, are you still gonna, you know, do the same work, do the art? Now, for me, art is subjective. So regardless of what you think is art, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I like what I like. You know, art to me is what it is. And I always like to remind people that maybe your immediate crowd might not like what you want, but there's 7.8 billion people on this planet. And you need a very small percentage in order to be successful or to be recognized. And I think that's what we really want. We want people to pay attention to us. We want people to recognize us. We want people to know that we are here. As much as I love to be by myself, don't think I don't like the attention from people. You know, I love it. I miss it. You know, at this present moment, now I realize, as much as I like to be myself, I'm missing that physical contact with people. That, you know, see one of my friends or whatever, big hug. You know, I see you, always a big hug, kiss on the cheek. You know, it's for me, even though it's not often, we can do it. But at this present moment in time, it's like the safest thing is to not do it. And that feels really awkward because it doesn't feel so natural. So what would be really interesting, or a nice experiment to do, is, you know, with the medium that you do, any type of art that you do, anything that you do, you know, you were saying people are saying that they're bored. Go back to being a kid 100%. When you didn't understand what time was, when the 6 weeks summer holidays felt like a whole year. Like, go back to that point. You know, I was having this thought just on the weekend about, wow, I need to go back to my imagination. Like, I remember when I was a kid, and, you know, when me and my sister got to a certain age, we no longer played with each other because, you know, she was too old for me now, and she's got all these older friends, and what I'm doing is kid stuff. So I was quite comfortable. I had a big, massive box full of toys. I had old school tape recorders, old school cameras, and I would just make up a day. I would make up a day. I was a pilot on a starship. You know, I got my toys, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing this voiceover. Oh my God, watch out! You're about to be hit by a missile, or, you know what I mean? I had to sit down and say, hold on a sec. I could actually have I could create a whole new world, a whole new universe. People could have 10 hands if they wanted to. In a heartbeat. There was no script. But we were so
infinitely creative before we were taught what creativity was from someone else's objective standpoint. Like, I like to tell people that they're perfect, and they get a bit like, oh, I'm not. And I say to them, but there is only one Marvin, and you're doing exactly perfectly as you are. Perfect, Marv, perfect. Because also the idea of perfection is someone else's idea. We're always just like, with design and art, I'm finding so much inspiration for my show in September, but I'm also, you know, I'm struggling to look at this blank page and make a mistake, because I am a perfectionist by default, and I want it to be good. But I also realized through the life drawing that we run on Sundays that the longer I spend on my sketch after, and I rework and I shade it, and yes, it's not necessarily in the class, and the lighting may not be fantastic, but I'm still learning. Like, and I watch enough cartoons and manga and stuff like that to know where lighting should hit, and I'm just learning so much more, that the more time that you dedicate, because someone to tell you that you can't create something, and you also acknowledging that and recognizing it in your own brain, like your inner monologue, I can't draw. If you can hold a pencil in your mouth, you can draw. Because there's people without arms that use their mouth that paint epic landscapes. Up that day, pop a pencil in their mouth and overcome whatever they had to overcome. And I have functioning limbs all day, every day, thank God, or whatever. but it is still, I'm so terrified of a blank page. And like you say, you have to build that routine and get up, get showered, answer some email, find some way to structure your day. But to lose yourself completely in the kids' side, it's like we have to give ourselves that permission. It's been so, like you say, you used to have an entire movie in your front room. Exactly. Like you created these whole worlds, and as kids, we genuinely are in it. We really.
You're involved. You don't know any better, isn't it? Like your brain. Your brain is allowed to run free until it gets conditioned. Now, you touched on a really good point about the people without limbs and stuff like that who do amazing art. And I think you hit a key point where, when a baby's born, it's got all its arms, all its limbs, you say the baby's perfect. And obviously, people are upset because of the world we live in. If your baby's born with deformed or in any sort of way or a learning disability, you feel it takes away from that perfectness. Like, even though it's your child, there's that thought in the back of your head because this is what society says. Now, you hit a really good point that this person who's got no arms is doing better things than someone who's got all their limbs. Now, for me, it comes back to a statement, and I'm sure it's been said before, but it's a statement I've said. There is perfection in imperfection. That's where perfection is.
But that's what I'm saying.
People understand that's.
You're perfect, Marv, as Marvin. You get to be this Marvin one time. Whether you believe in reincarnation, you get to be him one time.
Yeah. Well, the perfection.
Everything that you're doing, and that's perfect.
The perfection is in the journey. So it's like what you're saying. You do your sketch, you're doing your live sketching, and you might be saying, "Oh, it's not that great," but you go home and you spend the time on it afterwards, and all of a sudden, 6 months down the line, it's improved, and everybody's saying, "Oh, wow, your pictures are amazing," and in your head you're saying, "I've seen someone else who does it better, and I want to be better than them."
100%.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where you find your perfection. Within the imperfection. You can't have one.
Permission to fuck up though, because that's so important. Like people are so afraid to fail. Like I've had open and had to close them. I've tried loads of different things, and I don't feel like a failure. I just take the lesson from that, and the next thing that I do, I'm more considerate of the things that kept me and held me back in the previous thing that I'm doing. So I find that kind of important to keep you going. You have to try these things, and you have to know you're not going to be perfect. And being a perfectionist is kind of a catch-22. Like I shouldn't be doing that much because I should be more afraid. I'm kind of glad I'm not afraid because maybe there's something wrong.
Well, they're one and the same, aren't they? How would you know perfection if you didn't understand imperfection?
100%.
You can't validate your perfection without someone being imperfect. So, do you know what I mean?
And also, for whose standard? It's good to have also your own standard of what a good person is, what the person you want to be is. 100%.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
So, getting back to your art journey, as you know, I've got a few things to cover with you. In your journey so far, what's been your proudest moment connected to your photography?
It's really hard to say, just on the basis that I'm literally
of moments.
I'm enjoying everything. But what I will say is my exhibition last year in December, which we done with the Hanway Collective, was absolutely amazing. It was amazing on a couple of counts, or on a few counts. So one of them was the fact that I already set a goal to do an exhibition. I set that at the end of the previous year. And obviously it manifested itself that was able to happen, by you focusing what you were doing, that came about for me, the opportunity came about for me. And that's why I grabbed it. I was like, okay, cool. I've got so much on, but I'm booking my slot in December. I'm going to make it happen. So putting that together, falling ill the day before, or like a few days before, and then, that struggle that I had, I was meant to get up at X time. I had to grab another 2 hours sleep. I had to go over to IKEA to get my frames. I still had to go back to work.
Man flu. This man's
yeah. serious man flu, like the proper stuff, the die-hard stuff. Yeah. And, you know, all that running around, and I was still like proper like, zombified. And then obviously we got there, me, you, Shan, having to like, you know, in no time at all, literally what we had, 20 minutes, I think it was, or something, to get all of that ready, to get the frames in, to get the plastic off the frames as well. It was absolute madness. But what was really good was that, you know, it was like, okay, Shannon Lee, at this point, Shannon Lee's taking over. Shannon, what do you want us to do? We were just both like waiting for our orders. He was like, okay, and it was just like straight to it. Yeah. And then the moment the first person, we got it ready, bang on time. The moment the first person walked through the door, I was just like, okay. You know, time to actually, you know, I was in the zone. It didn't feel like I was ill at all. You know, I had friends coming in. You know, big respect for those that were able to make it, because I know a lot of people weren't, and I held it at a really crazy time, a really busy time. But the turnout was amazing. The feedback was amazing. So that moment there, you know, I was itching to kind of like take a step back and take pictures of everybody while they were there. I was like, I'm missing a great photo opportunity here. But
it was hard to you because you're always the for everyone else's exhibition. So it was nice to actually one that had to quickly go and like, you know, take the photo and see you in such an awkward position. Like you didn't feel awkward, I don't think, to anyone there, but I know that that's not really. Yeah. On, obviously you're Marvin, you know what I mean, you're marvelous, but it was quite and to kind of see how you just combated that uncomfortability and just got on with it, because none of those people knew, you know what I mean, they're all expecting to just chill with you, find out what your journey's been, and you really handled it very well. But it was so funny to know that you weren't comfortable. Yeah,
I mean, the good thing was that why that was so good was the preparation, the family, but the feedback as well. You know, I got to showcase a few of my different styles that I have, but the feedback that, you know, people could see, despite that one looking quite rough and that one looking quite smooth, they could see that I took the photo. That was really encouraging, because that was what I set out to do. So to get that feedback from people was, you know, a really good thing. You know, afterwards when we sat down and we really enjoyed it, that moment there, you know, to have my family there as well, some of my family members as well, you know, that was really a highlight moment of this. You know, the feedback I got afterwards, you know, a really good friend of mine and a really big inspiration from the martial arts world, Alfie Lewis, nothing to do with this side of art. You know, he messaged me and just told me to keep, really good, really proud, keep going, like keep attacking it now. You know, he's someone who I love to listen to, because he's lived through a lot. He's, you know, a pioneer in what he does in the sport that I've got in martial arts. He's like a gatekeeper for martial arts. He holds up the standard for martial arts. So it's really good to get the feedback from someone like him, who, you know, maybe art is not his thing, but he gets it, he understands it. So, you know, the feedback from everybody else as well, and the energy that it gave to everybody else at the same time, to be able to pass on that energy. You know, even now, people are still asking me about some of the pictures from that event and stuff. So that's really, you know, that's really a highlight moment for me, 1,000,000%. No, it was really good. And it was so nice, like, to have such a commercial show as well, because, you know, you made not an extensive amount of money. As you say, you're not money driven, but when you see your passion and the people around you, your closest, actually supporting and putting, you know, their money behind your artwork, I find incredibly inspiring, because it's often strangers who will support you more than your close circle. So to see so many people in your close circle to be able to support you like that was quite fantastic to see. It was really, it was very inspiring for me as a, you know what I mean? It was really cool. I think that's a big problem for a lot of people when they do their art or whatever it is they do their business. And it's really funny, because I was thinking about this the other day. And, you know, for me, it's not a problem, because I always try and understand the situation. I think what we have to remember is, with our close friends, they have grown up with us on our journey. So they've seen them points where we're inconsistent. They've seen us take up a hobby and drop it, and all this kind of stuff. So not to take away from them, sometimes they see us say stuff. They've seen us do it a million times. They've heard us say it a million times. They've seen us drop it a million times. So as much as they want to believe in us, our behavior has shown them that we're not going to stick with this. In some cases, depending on our relationship with that person, a stranger can only go by what you're telling them right now. And you're only ever talking to the stranger about the thing that you're doing when you're doing that thing. So, sometimes we say, our friends jump on afterwards. That's because they can't believe it. And a lot of the time,
it is because I've been through, like you say, there would be some people that would feel like I'm inconsistent. And I've felt that in the Hanway. I know that I've found my highest joy in the thing that I love. But I also came to understand through your friends wearing Jordans and they won't pay 20 quid for a t-shirt that you've made. You know what I mean? In that But I've also seen throughout your time, you always consistently promote other people. You share a lot of stuff. And I think that's just part of your character, and people really respond in a good way, because you are someone that when you do something, I really believe you're going to do it. And you don't often talk about it. You will just do it. You'll tell us what you're doing, but you put your money where your mouth is a lot of the time. And I think that also reflects, like, in the people around you. So much support is really, really amazing. And I think 100%. It also makes you think about being a more consistent person. If I am more consistent and people are able to understand my vulnerability and who I am, they'll understand the journey that I'm on. You can't keep it from people and not be consistent and then expect the support from them.
Yeah. Well, I have a system for myself, and I've developed it over the years because, when we're challenged, it creates emotional reaction inside of us. The only thing I can describe it with is like, when you cringe at something, when something's cringe, that's the only way I can actually describe it. We have this feeling. So whenever we fail, whenever we have to, I take it back to the days when I used to have to ask my mum, can I go out to play? And I used to have to kind of gauge what kind of mood she was in, but I used to have this cringing feeling because I really was, worried about her saying no. Yeah. And then I realized that if I don't ask, it's a no already. So I've already got my no. And then if I ask, it's 50-50, isn't it? But, you're always looking for the right time to ask. And there's never really a right time. No, there is a right time. The right time is now. And so what I do is, I pull it back to those feelings of when I was a kid and, how I overcame those things. And I sometimes go back to those points where, there's a point in my life where I'm flowing, like everything, just like, bam, I can say yes to this, I can say no to that, I can do this, I can do that. Like, everything I'm doing just feels right. And then there's a point in my life when that doubt comes back in my head, and I'm second guessing everything now. And then I pull myself up. And one of my things is I realize that awkwardness is the thing that I'm seeking. So what I do is I have friends around me that I can tell anything. Like there's very few things that embarrass me. I'm not to say I'm unembarrassable, but it's very few things.
Shame. I just want you to know. Maintain that awkwardness. He doesn't. You guys, no shame.
Yeah, no, but you know what? It's having people around who I care about and who care about me that I can do. So anybody else's opinion doesn't matter. I have such a diverse group of friends.
Wait, we have 21 seconds remaining, so we'll have to jump off and jump back on. So come back, guys. We've got 15 seconds left. So I'm going to end this live and I'm coming right back.
Okay, cool.
Hi guys, welcome back. Just waiting for Marvin. Terty9photography, talk to me. There we go. Hi Shan. Hi. Hi Slick Rick 247.
Oh! Oh my God! Oh yeah, it's gold. Oh, no. I was digging for gold, guys. I was digging for gold. We're back.
We're back, and Marv's just gone through one of his proudest moments with us. Do you have more that you'd like to share? Are we getting into the scary shit?
I got loads
Your
of proud.
BBC thing. Come on, that was pretty cool.
Which one?
The BBC award. The BBC.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I just have to go to my mantelpiece. Well, you know. Well, you know, I just like to thank my friend. Yeah, no, yeah, that was a proud moment. That was quite surprising as well, considering I've joined the BBC Photography Club, and I don't really have much time to do some of the events that they put on. They put on some really good events. It's just time in work, and then because I'm always active, I always have my other projects. A lot of the time, I'm doing my own thing. So probably within the time that I've been there, I've probably been on like 4 to 5 events with them, and that's over a period of like 3 years. So basically, you know, going to a meeting. That's called, by the way, Rickylee, that Darling Love. Was it? Darling Dove One. And yeah, I see you, Nanzo. I see you, Cardo. Yeah, so basically, there was like a meeting, end of year meeting or whatever it was, and or beginning of year meeting, and you know, a group of people just there, and you know, just sitting down talking, and then they, you know, stop the meeting for a sec and say, hey, we just want to present this award. And I've seen it sitting on the table, and I'm just thinking someone's won something and they've just brought it with them, you know. And then they say, you know, I've won the chairman's award, for they just love my style. They love the energy that I'm bringing, that it's different. Because on that in that photography club, we have some sick photographers. Like, you've already met Joe. Like, you came down to the event that we had, the exhibition, which Joe won. Joe Holland. She's also on Instagram as well.
Yeah, we'll post a little story linking all the, like, Marvin's influences and different people that are connected with photography, so you guys can go check them out after this. Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah, it was like, you know, for me to win that award, you know, it was a nice boost, especially I've just done my exhibition, the New Year's. I'm already planning my year already. I've got my birthday coming up as well. So I was like, you know, okay, this came unexpectedly. So again, it's just like that. I have a little kick to be like, you know, you're on the right path. You know, you're being recognized. But again, I got to step up the game now. So it was funny because obviously I've had this message from people. You know, Alfie had said to me, you know, keep going. And the next thing, I win this award. I was like, wow, okay, cool. If you're not prepared, you're gonna miss your opportunities.
And also, be what you ask for, because often you'll get it. And you know what? Like, dedicating your time, you're getting the recognition, the validation. And now is the time to not get gassed and not lose your focus. But it's nice to use, like you say, as a little boost
get gas. Get gas. One thing I hate when people do something really good. Yeah, I hate when people do something really good. And I don't know. Again, we talk about words. Hate, probably not the best word to use, but I really dislike when people they do something, they're successful, but they feel like they have to hold back because they're worried about how other people are going to take it. No. Those moments don't last forever.
It's
and
like
people
give someone a chance to recover from being smacked in the face. No.
Exactly. Yeah. Enjoy your moment. Enjoy that moment. Celebrate that moment, because you don't know if you're going to get another moment. You don't know when those moments will come. Nothing is promised to you. So that's one thing for me is I enjoy the moment. Like, it's really hard to do when people say let go and just enjoy it. And I'm conscious of it when I feel like I'm, you know, not letting go enough. And a lot of the time it's for a reason. You know, it's like the spider senses are tingling. So I take note of it. So I don't always just, you know, just chuck it away straight away. You know, time has taught me that. But you have to enjoy your moment. As an artist, any moment you can get, any praise you can get, learn to work with it. Learn to use it as an inspiration to then do more, to then better yourself, to then improve. Take that note of, enjoy that moment. Oh my God, yes, I'm amazing. I am amazing, but I could be better. You know what I mean? But I can be better. Now that I've hit this level, like you're saying with the drawings, you know, if I was drawing, it would be stick people. But I'm sure after a little while, I'd actually be doing full bodies. I'll be doing shapes, oblongs, and you know what I mean? Things will get a little bit more 2D.
But you joke. A lot of, like, even Shannon does the same thing. We sketch out circles first to where the bulge of the and connect them. Like, if you winning, you would start at the end, because you'd be like, how the fuck did you get from there to there? Because a lot's changed. And it's like that fear again. Once you start working with that page, with that camera, you start to overcome that. And then you're like, okay, I actually have to put in the work, because it's mentally always shows you better. Like those sketches where it's like 5 minutes, then they show you 30 minutes, and then they show you like a 2-week sketch, and you're like, oh, that you put in a little bit more than you need to. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's it though, isn't it? It's like, you know, the build up to what you're going to do to then, this is all the practice. Like, look at everything as practice, gaining a new skill. Take note of what you're doing. So, you know, we mentioned about the mindfulness. When you are doing the thing that you do, take note. And I think that's my advantage. You know, I was one of those people who said, I can't draw, I can't do art. As much as I admired art, in my head, I always said I can't do art. That's why I never looked at what I was doing as an art. You know, I've worked with some really great artists. I've done a project which was like two years ago, and it just so happened to fall, or a year ago, to fall on my birthday. And I went out to take some pictures because I was working. So I said, I'm going to do something on the weekend, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and take some pictures. And one of my favorite artists, Dan Kitchener, Dank, and he does some amazing art. You'll see his art all around the world, especially around Shoreditch, which is like one of the meccas in London for graffiti. And as I went out and took these pictures, a couple of guys walked past me, and I was like, I recognize those guys. And I was like, I swear that's Dill, the real Dill, and Daco from a group called Gums and Tongues. And coincidentally, they are one of my favorite groups, one of my favorite crews, graffiti crews. And we've kind of bumped into each other along the way. We don't really know each other, but you know, we recognize each other. So they walked past me, they didn't notice me. And so I finished off my pictures, and I thought, let me go around the corner and see which direction they went in and see if they're still there. So I went around the corner towards Nomadic Gardens, and they were there just sitting on the wall, chilling. They had their little plastic bags with all their equipment in there, and they had their, you know, their cans, you know, they were drinking. So I saw them, I said, Bill, Daco. They were like, oh yeah, what's up, man? You're that photographer guy, Terty9 photography, innit? Oh, no, I think they know me as Hardgraff39. And I was like, yeah, what are you guys doing? You about to throw something up? They're like, yeah, we're just going to do, you know, a quick wall. I said, what, do you want to do a quick project together? They said, yeah. I said, okay, cool, perfect. It was really crazy because my brother in the Philippines, he's in the Philippines now, Simon Lewis, he gave me a call at the time, literally just called me just as I was speaking to him. So I said, oh, bro, I got to go. I'm just about to do this project. He said, oh, yeah, bro, go, because like, this sounds sick. And what you were saying about that, you know, all these lines. So they were doing these lines, and I was like, what the hell is this going to be? Because I've seen their work, their final products. Yeah. And I was like, oh my days, the way this thing was coming to life. And I actually documented it on my Hardgraff39 page through photos. Like, so it would have been around either last year or the year before, March, if you look down on my timeline on Hardgraff39. But that was amazing to see, witness that, just a bunch of lines become this amazing.
For 8 hours, I used to sit on the wall with my graffiti friends and just sit and watch them. Are you okay? And I'm like, dude, what you're doing now is blowing my mind. And in 2 hours, I'm not even going to look like this. So I'm cool. Leave me. I'm cool to just chill.
Let me chill.
Even like going through my life drawing, like all the circles, and you can see the erase lines. And I love that when I look at a piece and I can see, you know, a little piece of pencil line just poking out a little, because you feel that you're in the process of what that person went through to create this. And like photography, it
Yeah.
is, like you say, when you join up and do those collaborative things with artists, their process is mad. It's really,
It's
really
amazing.
crazy.
It's amazing. It's good to see. I think it's good to mix or to get in amongst other artists and who maybe do a different medium from you as well, because I think you start to then look at it differently. I think you can be a little bit judgy when you're looking at someone who's doing something that you do. Whereas if you just look at it as an art, and then you look at someone who's doing a different art, you're not really comparing. You're normally just admiring, you know. And then again, a lot of things boil down to taste as well. I think we can learn a lot if you just step back and kind of look at what other people are doing as well. I think that's really important.
Definitely. And then now we've gone through all your kind of, well, 2 of your prouder moments, but I want to get on to the more interesting for me is your scariest moment. Like, maybe not scary, like you say, the word is a bit ominous, but like, what's been your most like doubtful moment? Like, how have you been able to get?
I can tell you that. So basically, just through conversation, I ended up teaming up with someone who has a company and does events. And basically, my friend Dill, like me and this guy are tight now. He's a good friend of mine. And basically, we got talking, you know, about my graffiti project. He does film and all this kind of stuff. You know, I was fortunate to be able to do some photography at one of his film festivals. But basically what had happened is he was doing an event in the O2, and it was in the O2 arena, and it was for an African artist called Davido.
Oh yes, I remember this.
So basically this guy has asked me, you know, Bob, can you do some photography? Like, he'd seen my stuff, we'd had some talk, he'd seen some of my pictures. Unfortunately, I'd started up Terty9 photography by this point, and I was able to show him something other than just me taking pictures of graffiti. So he was kind of able to get an idea of what I do. So he was like, yeah, he really likes my pictures and da-da-da. Am I available to do events? I'm like, yeah, of course, no problem. So I've said yes, because I've listened to, I think it was Richard Branson who said it. I don't know if it's actually his quote, but, you know, you see the memes and whatever. You know, someone that asks you to do a job, just say yes and then learn to do it.
Figure it out.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah. Now, obviously, this is a big job. Like, he hasn't told me what my role is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be the main guy or just a bit part guy, whatever. I don't know. So I'm like, okay, cool. So the day before it was going to happen, I was shooting at an event called Battle Grapple up in Surrey. So I also do photography at events, martial arts events as well.
Advanced cuddling.
Yeah, advanced cuddling. So like that day, there's not great lighting in there. So I'd actually ordered some lights. So on the Friday, I was at one of my brother's houses. It was me, Mike, and Simon, and we're just chilling. So I bought these lights. So I've had to go onto YouTube to learn how to operate these flashlights. So I'm taking pictures, following the guide on how to use these flashlights, and I'm taking a picture of Mike and Si just chilling, chatting, and they're completely whited out. Like, the light is so bright. I have no idea. Like, I'm toning it down and it's still bright. I'm thinking, fuck my life. Like, fuck my life. What the hell is going on? So I'm taking these pictures. They're coming out like super overexposed and whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. I need to figure this out. Now I know what I'm doing. I'm meant to be on the red carpet. I'm meant to be taking pictures on the red carpet. I'm told it's going to be 2 hours max. I need to figure this shit out. So I'm like, okay, cool. I calm down. I go battle grapple. I bump into a guy called Benny. He sells jiu-jitsu wear, battle gear. Really cool guy, really good guy. Great martial artist. You know, really, really cool guy. So me and him start talking, and he's like, "Oh, Mub, how's your photography going?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool, man. It's getting good. I've got an event tomorrow, blah blah blah. But I'm having issues with my flashlight, and I don't really intend to use the flash at this event because it can, you know, blind people and all that kind of stuff when they're fighting and stuff, and cause a distraction on stage." So he's like, yeah, okay, oh, show me I said, I'm having problems with this flashlight. So he goes, oh, show me. He goes, because he used to do photography. I was like, what are the chances? You know, what a coincidence. So I take out the flashlight. He's like, oh, yeah, this is a really good flashlight. I'm like, okay, cool. That's good thing number one. You attach the thing, and he goes, okay, so yeah, you put it on here, you do your settings, and then you pull this thing here. It's the white paper because it diffuses the light. So I was like, I saw this plastic thing at top, but I was like, I don't want to pull this thing. It's one of those things, it looks like you can pull, but it doesn't just come out straight away. Kind of have to give it a bit of time. I'm like, I just got these lights. I don't want to break these lights. I don't want to break these lights. So he pulled out this thing, this white paper comes out, and he showed me how to angle it, and then he showed me how to use it. I was like, come on, what are the chances of bumping into someone who knows how to use this camera? Who knows how to use this flashlight?
Payment for being a hero. You're getting the light.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
bringing gifts.
Do you know what I mean? So within that time now, so jump onto Sunday, get there, get to the event. You know, we've got the time to set up. We sort out where we're going to do these red carpet event things. So I've got a rough idea about lighting and stuff like that. There's a rough idea. Fortunately for me, I have something on my phone. I have something on my phone that allows me to transfer my pictures directly from my camera to my phone. So as we were setting up the red carpet, I'm taking shots so I can get to see what it looks like. So I'm taking shots. I'm going to Adele. I'm doing some quick edits on my phone because I have editing app. Most of my editing, in fact, 99% of my editing is done on my phone. So I quickly go to Adele after I've taken these pictures. I took a few pictures and I'm like, but I'm doing it like, you know what you're talking about. Adele, what do you, like, you're just looking for a second opinion? What do you think? The lighting, it's not too bad, is it? It's a little bit. And he's like, no, it's perfect, that's perfect, because obviously he knows his stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to run with it. Having a little play, like, if I stand here, what does the lighting look like? If I go forward, what does it look like? So I got that locked down, and it was an amazing event. So I got to do all the red carpet stuff. I ended up being there for 4 hours. I ended up being there for 4 hours because not only was I just taking pictures, I was interacting with people. So people saw what was going on. They saw people having a fun time. And so people just kept coming. I was loving it. I was enjoying it. So at the end of that now, Adele's gone. He's already got some other guys doing different types of media already in the arena. And he goes to me, Marv, go have some fun. Just find a space and go and shoot. So, yeah, that's right, Cardo. Fake it till you make it. You done okay, innit? Fake it till you make it. So I've gone in there, and I had. If you see the pictures, I had a crazy viewpoint. I was miles away from the stage, like miles away from the stage, and basically. Through the experience that I had of bad light in being at events, having bad light in the projects that I've done, Battle Grapple, they use different color lights, red and blue lights are going around all the time. So that affects how my picture comes out. And I learned it gave me the opportunity to learn how to actually adjust my camera, adjust my manual settings and all this kind of thing. So when I took these pictures, I had backstage passes. I went around the back. I bumped into John Boyega, who, let me tell you now, this guy's an amazing guy. Like, I met him very briefly, but we ended up walking to this back room. He was with a group of his people, and he allowed me to do a little shoot with him and his peoples. And you can see all those pictures. They're all on my page. I got some amazing pictures of Davido on stage and some of the other artists that he brought on with him. But that was the lead up to that was one of my most nervy moments. But again, I just went back to old times, old things that I've done, and I was just like, it's either he's going to come out shit, Adele's going to be upset with me, and he's never going to hire me again, or it's going to go really well, and they're going to want me to come again. And they actually did ask me to do an event the following weekend, but due to I think it was snowing around this time, and it was in Manchester. And I had someone away. I was the only person at work. I was like, I'm unable to do it because if I get stuck up that way, it's going to be really difficult for me to get back. And obviously, my job is my main priority. But yeah, it's good. And I've worked with him again at the London Art House Film Festival, and I got to work with artists from different countries: Berlin, Molly's Peck, Brazil, Leah Paris. Morocco, Momo, So yeah, this is just from taking pictures of graffiti. I've worked with artists. I've worked with some really big UK artists. I've worked in Germany. I've gone over to Japan. I've worked into Japan as well. I've shot at the O2 with one of Africa's biggest artists, Davido, who I didn't actually really know. I had to, yeah. So imagine this, yeah. Before what happened, someone said to me, "Oh, this Davido, what is this concert in the arena or in the Indigo?" So those that know about the arena and the Indigo, the capacity is totally different. Like the arena dwarfs the Indigo. So I said, "I'm not sure. Let me check online." I said, "I don't really know who this artist is." And I actually had one of his tunes on my playlist. So I've gone onto YouTube while I'm talking to this person, and I've clicked onto the YouTube. I'm seeing 20 million views. I said, "This guy's in the arena." 100%, this guy is in the arena. Yeah. I was like, this is nuts. So again, that put on more pressure. Imagine I've looked at this just before I'm going to do it. So it put more pressure, but I think I work well under pressure, and I think the martial arts has really aided in that. I mean, what is more pressure than trying to figure out your game plan while someone's kicking you in the face?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's one of the biggest distractions.
You touched on a couple things, and then I just wanted to ask you, so the portfolio thing for you was really crucial, and I think a lot of artists, what we don't always appreciate is how important a portfolio is. And how do you feel that your portfolio was able to make you more comfortable in presenting yourself as an artist to this person?
Yeah, I think, when I started the Terty9 photography, it was just like a practice page because I was still, heavily into the whole graffiti stuff. And I was in that mindset of I don't want to just jump on. But obviously I sat down with myself and I'm like, okay, cool. It's the same thing. You're doing photography now. So one is complementing the other. You're learning a skill here that's going to help you with a skill here. So I said, let me use this other page to get the feedback. The same way I use the feedback to build my graffiti page, Hardgraff39. Yeah. Hardgraff39 is the same way I can build this Terty9 photography and get utilize the feedback. And so yeah, it was that page helps me to get the confidence.
Last sentence. Yeah.
Okay. So where it helps me is basically I can look at what kind of pictures, what style of pictures people like. So I'll go out and take a picture and I'll be like, this is an amazing picture. And I look at some of my other pictures, like they're okay pictures, but I kind of need them to, add to my project. And it's going to make my amazing picture stand out more. And I post this amazing picture and I'm waiting for the likes to come in, like, yeah, okay. And then it gets like 2 likes, 3 likes, 4 likes. And then one of my pictures that I'm like, it's just an ordinary picture, is like getting 20, 30, 40 likes. And I was like, okay. So what I want to master is I want to master the commercial side of things, the aesthetics that people subconsciously just have no power.
Sorry, but to bring up what you mentioned before when you were talking about when you had that, I'm going to have 100 new followers every month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel like, because a lot of the artists that I work with, they struggle socially to be quite outgoing. I'm quite outgoing, you're quite outgoing. And I feel like that helps a lot because I get that a lot of artists want to be at home alone in their studio.
Yeah.
Do you feel that your personality and you able to talk to complete strangers has been an asset to you?
Yeah, a million percent. And this is a thing I say to a lot of artists. And remember, like, a lot of people say, oh, I want to keep it real, keep it real. We are designed to adapt. So I know people say change, and when they say change about themselves and personality, they find it really hard. Oh, I haven't changed. I'm the same person. Call a crib, same number, same hood, all of that kind of talk. And what you got to understand is, yes, you are the same person. I am still Marvin, but I adapt. So what really helps me is there's loads more amazing photographers who are more skillful than me, take way, 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 way better pictures than me. But they're not going to be known. They're not going to be out there. If you want to be known, then you have to understand what you need to do to be known. So if you sit down and say, I'm an artist, I think my art is amazing and I want to be known. Sit down, say you want to be known, and then go out and find out how you have to be known. So don't just jump online and do it without actually sitting down and writing this down so it's on paper, so it's in front of you. What do I have to do to be known?
Like today, this is, for me, more of a chance for people to understand who you are, because I know that we build an emotional connection with someone and we tend to care more what they're doing. Maybe we'll check their stuff or refer them, or God knows, like you say, what can come from one meeting randomly one day. It can be incredible if you're ready for it. But I think also I struggle because I'm quite outgoing and able to chat to people, I struggle when people are not confident enough. Like, it's okay to believe that people want to hear what you have to say. You're a human being like everyone else. And when I see people without that confidence, but so much talent, and I'm trying to explain to them, you need to be able to introduce yourself, speak coherently in a room full of people. Like these small skills I really took for granted. Like, I wasn't able to do that before I worked for IKEA, if I'm honest. Now I can talk in front of people, and I really believe that they're there to hear what I have to say. I don't have a negative, like, oh my God, they don't want to hear or they don't want to know, because listen to Donald Trump, for fuck's sake. Like, everyone
he's a good example of.
And the nice thing about your stuff is you've built up that base. And I think people, like, even I wouldn't take out my Instagram half as much as I take out Hanway's Instagram, because you are connected in that collective, and I watch you all the time. When you're out, your phone is out, your Instagram, you're connected with people. And I started to do that, and like Shannon the one day walked in and she's like, you're very popular and I have the same like account on my phone. Can you not meet 20 people a day? And that was like, it was nice to see like how many new people were supporting and following Hanway. But I know that I need to build that emotional connection. I need to go out and meet people. So in doing the artist showcase and these lives, I'm hoping that we can build that connection where people understand your motivation or understand you a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, once you understand what it is that you want, and this is why I say put it down on paper, then look at the things that you need to do it, and then ask yourself, can you do those things? Yeah. I think for me, that is where everyone should start before they go and set up their Instagram page and all this stuff. Or sometimes you can just set it up, and then once you learn the things, if you want to, you can restart, you know, once you build up the confidence. Because, you know, nothing's permanent. You know, I have no problem in keeping my page the way it is, because I want people to see my progress. But I think that, you know, you touched on something, that you feel awkward when you see someone who's talented, and they're struggling to, you know, get the traffic to their page or whatever. And I say, why do you feel awkward? And you feel awkward
because I've felt that awkwardness of not having the confidence to talk.
No. This is just general. This is just a general point for people to grab onto, because I used to feel that as well. I'm only highlighting it because other people. So when people feel awkward, a lot of the time it's a reflection on yourself. A lot of it is because you connect with that feeling that, like you said, you know, before IKEA, you wouldn't have been able to do X and X. And so what I tend to do now is I tend to not feel that awkwardness. So a lot of people now is where I would normally step in and give advice and, you know, try and talk them through it. A lot of the time now, I just say, okay, I listen to them, and I listen to them chuck their doubts and the reasons why, and I hope that they continue to follow me, because a lot of the time they are my inspiration to push something that I also find challenging. Maybe I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it enough. And what I will do is I will then focus on that point and push that point that they're doing, because I can see that they're more talented than me in the current thing that I'm actually doing in that sense. And what I'm trying to do is, I know at some point you must sit and look at my work and think you can do better, or you are doing better. And then I want you to question why. I would rather you come and ask me how I do it than rather than me put my opinion on it. And I'm guilty of it. I do it sometimes, but sometimes I catch myself and say to myself, well, there's a time to give my opinion and there's a time not to. And just be aware of it. And sometimes I'm giving you too much information and I can see that you've already shut off because you're already in. Who does this guy think he is, telling me what to do, how to manage my thing? I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. They're already caught up in that moment. So anything I say after that is moot. It doesn't matter to them. So I'm actually wasting my breath. So I've learned to sometimes just, okay, you know, I start to try to motivate and then I can see that they're not taking it on correctly or they're not taking it on. They might be taking it a bit on, you know, like I said, who's this person talking to? So yeah, I think it's really important to put yourself in those situations. But again, if you're someone who's in your room, the only thing I can say to you is you've got to at some point step out of your comfort zone. So really ask yourself, is this what I want to do? And if the answer is yes, take the steps, take little steps.
Yeah, I think in that reflection as well, like when I would really struggle and not have that belief that I'm able to be heard, this is the exact same as...
I was waving at way. Way.
But no, it's a big reflection for me because it's only done the most amazing things for me. The random strangers I've had the confidence to talk to start conversations, has led me to find amazing people and be able to interact and connect different people. And for me, I think it is just that awkwardness I feel is definitely like, oh my God, imagine what you, like where you would have been if you'd still been so unconfident. Like, I'm not saying everyone's going to walk out and have the biggest dick on campus, not by any stretch. Like, I feel that horrible feeling of when I didn't have that confidence to be heard, you know what I mean? And have that. I know you made a joke, but I missed it. What did you think?
I think it's important to understand that it's a journey. Everything is a journey. And a couple of years ago, I had a couple of friends who were going through some really hard times, like super hard time. And I got opportunity to sit down with both of them. One of them is based here, one of them is based in another country. So I actually jumped on a plane to visit my friend. And what I realized is that they're my friends because we're different, but we have some things in common. And the things that they were going through, the things that they were struggling with, I was like, you know what, at some point in my life, I may struggle with these things as well, and be at the point that they're at, breaking point, because they were at breaking point. If not broken, you know. And then I was like, do you know what? You know, the talks I had with them, some things just came naturally when I had these talks, things that I would never normally do. You know, certain things I was saying in my mind, but I wasn't saying out vocally. I wasn't vocalizing because in my head, even though I'm saying say it, something held me back because it's not the right moment to say that. And fortunately for me, it was the right thing to do. But I took note of those situations. And then what I realized is a lot of the time, our biggest fear is the time. Like, I want to be a great photographer. Well, I have to get a camera first, don't I? And then I have to take pictures. But I have to learn, understand the art. And I'm comparing myself to someone who's been doing it 10, 20, 30 years. And I'm expecting myself, you know, I could spend all the money in the world on the best equipment, but I'm still never going to take pictures as good as them until I learn to understand my art. And that only comes through experience. So my thing is, you need time because you need to be organized. You need to write down and plan out your list and all that kind of stuff, something that I'm still learning to do, which wasn't my forte, which was my worst point. One of my worst points, I would say. But you need to let go of the concept of time. It takes whatever time it takes. There are things that you can speed up your progress, which you mentioned, having the ability to go out and interact with people. And interact with people at events that you're going to, because most of those people, a lot of artists and a lot of people that do things that you see them do, they don't just do that. They do other things as well. And you'd be surprised that once you start up a conversation with somebody, the similarities that you both have. And that's, you know, IKEA taught me, you know, people buy from people. Customer service is king. That's what I learned at IKEA. In my 8 years at IKEA, you know, starting from stacking shelves to management, you know, supervisor to management, working with people that I'd known for how many years, you know, those difficulties of now, I used to sneak on breaks with you, and now I'm your manager. Now I'm telling you, you can't pull the tricks that I used to pull, that we used to do together. Like, to be able to sit down and do that with close friends, you know, you learn a lot. You build your character. So I would say, you know, if you wanna sell to people, you have to act or interact with people, or get someone on board who can. So, for example, someone like yourself who's doing what you're doing, Hanway Collective, I might not be a confident artist, so I might have to give you all the information so that you can go around and tell people about my art and all this kind of stuff. So you have to, if you want to sell, if you want to make money, you have to connect. You have to connect with people. You have to understand what the medium that you're doing, and you have to understand your customer.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways is to interact. There's other ways to do it, but one of the best ways is to interact with your customer. That's the advice I will give you.
Even when we went to the Brazilian embassy for that VIA art prize, just getting to chat with that artist and find out a little bit more, like, it adds so much for me, like myself, when I'm in that environment, and having the Hanway Collective, like, you know, even all of us discussing as we were learning, like, okay, you need to price everything. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's such a hard concept for a lot of people, because to place a value on your art, it feels, you know, you want to just give everyone everything because you can.
Yeah.
You can produce it, you can give people beautiful things. But the thing, you have to train yourself and start to put yourself in that positive headspace of, I want to be a commercial artist. I want to be able to do my art and live from it. And there's no shame in that. There's no, you're not being arrogant. You're not being lazy to create things with soul out there. It's a big thing. It's why people get so nervous and why they can't necessarily achieve great things, because it's soul bearing and
1,000,000%.
very frightening.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this time of being trapped in your house with yourself, what are you working on? Like, have you been able to focus on stuff, and if you have, what has it been?
Yeah, so as you know, I just came back from holiday on the 26th, so I actually came back when
just in time,
like literally an hour before lockdown. Came an hour before lockdown, so I had time to think about it, because when we left Amsterdam went on lockdown. I went to Berlin.
Do you think they were locking them down so you couldn't get back in those countries?
Yeah, they didn't want me back. I went to Paris to go catch up with a guy who's also on Facebook, Novi. He showed me around, and I really wanted to have a talk with this guy. When I left Paris, that was lockdown. That went on lockdown. And then I went back to Berlin. So I had time, and I had conversations with people. So fortunately for me, I wasn't in my house when all of this was happening. I was away, and then, you know, I was in Berlin, so I had some really good conversations. So I was kind of pre-prepared. So when I got here, I was already in that mindset of, okay, how am I going to manage this? And what I've learned over the years is let go. Yeah. Like, just let go and allow yourself to just be normal, and then you'll find what you want to work on. So for me, being in here, this is why, you know, just this weekend, I was like, okay, I'm having fun. This is fun, because I'd already got my mind around certain things. Yeah. And so I had the thought of, you know, going back to being a child, being a kid, you know, when, you know, a day felt like a week, to get myself back into that mindset, but also to get rid of the concept of time. I can do that now. I can do that. Like, one day I said, I'm going to do loads of stuff, and I ended up doing nothing. I said, okay, cool, accept it. Just chill, just loaf, because you've got so much time. Yeah, because I was conscious of doing everything, like being too efficient, doing everything, and then having nothing to do. And like you said, there's always something to do. And I've got a list of tons of things to do, but we don't know how long this is going to go. Yeah. This is something that I'm going to be carrying on after I do this. So fortunately for me, I'm just taking my time, and whatever will be, will be. So anything to do with bills, rent, and whatever happens, happens. Like, there's nothing. I've sat down, I've weighed them up, I've looked at what I can actually tackle now or afterwards, what I can approach, and then anything that I can't predict or I can't do, I'm just going to have to deal with it, because I'm not going to be the only person in that boat. You know, the government's not going to be able to repossess everybody's properties and fine everybody for this and take everybody's this and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, you need the balance. I don't mind the warriors because they keep me grounded. They remind me of the things that I need to keep an eye on. Don't get too away with the unicorns because, you know, you're in the real world, Marv. But at the same time, my head, my spirit, my soul needs to be in the right place in order to deal with any issues.
Yeah.
You know, in order for something positive to happen, during negative times, you need a positive outlook. Because if you try to operate if you put your batteries in the wrong way and you don't connect positive to negative, you know, you need the positive and negative for your remote to work. If you put the batteries in the wrong way, it doesn't work. The battery doesn't work. It's energy. So in order for me to be successful in a negative situation, I need to understand the negativity, but I need to have a positive outlook on it. And so this is what I've been saying. This is why I'm saying I'm happy. Like, I'm happy for my days to go whatever way they go right now. This is a great opportunity without having to go into work, without having to meet disappointment or whatever. This is a great opportunity for me to really rediscover myself. And really look at, you know, how can I improve myself? You know, do I continue to have negative thoughts? Am I away with the fairies all the time with all these positive thoughts? Are they hindering me because I'm not seeing the negative and I'm not making progress? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. So yeah, for me, I'm in my element. I am in my element. One of my things is working with people and interacting with people, but I also love the time alone. And so this is the perfect time for me to really have the conversations in my head and perfect some of these mindfulness techniques that have been taught by my coach, Guy, my mindfulness coach, Guy from Mindfulness News. It's a perfect time.
Yeah.
So when are we going to get this opportunity again to sit down with ourselves? You know, as soon as it goes back to I guarantee you're going to see a majority of people just go back to the same ways. You know,
I'm really interested in seeing that because so many people are doing more fitness. They're really trying to find their creativity. They're spending a lot more time trying to engage their children, which I think is also helping a lot of adults, like you say, return back to that kind of, you can't feel bad. You're not throwing a sickie. You're not lying to your job. You are told to stay home. Like, wash your hands and leave people the fuck alone. There's so few moments in our lives where we'll be able to sit back and forgive ourselves, sit back and push ourselves. Like, be able to really be, like you say, alone with yourself is so important. And I really hope when we come out of this that there is more physical activity, there's more mindfulness, like you say, more people are connected through, you know, we don't have to all go out and spend money to meet. We can have a house party. You know what I mean? You can live lives with people. Like, to be fair, I really miss people. So doing this with you today has even been a lot of fun for me. It's been a day. I've felt like I've got to know more of your side of that stuff. And I'm just excited to see. I'm a bit apprehensive, but I'm more excited to see. Yes, there'll be the people that return, but I live in hope though, which feels weird. I'm looking forward to it. I'm enjoying this present moment. It's a perfect opportunity for me to challenge myself. I've never been able to do this myself. No matter how many countries I go to, I always need to go out, go to the shops, and I always end up interacting with someone. I go on a bus, I smile at someone smiles at me, and then we end up talking. I go on a train, you know, same thing happens. I'm standing in a queue, you know, it always happens. So I've never really had this opportunity to really be isolated like this outside of being kidnapped and locked away or doing a crime and going to jail and being put in solitary. So, you know, for those people
who, you know, we have what we call a rehabilitation system, which is prison, which is jail. Now you understand why so many people come out and re-offend once they've made. I remember they've made a mistake in their life, which we've all made.
Any level, it's all from trauma. Yeah. You're behaving like this because you've gone through a trauma, but we never want to deal with that trauma. I have trauma, massive amounts of trauma from my childhood that I'm aware of. Now is you must do something to fix it, because you will. So if a criminal, like you say, is going through a rehabilitation, but there's no therapy, there's no understanding it's just lock it in a cage for 23 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and for me, this is an opportunity for us to count our lucky chickens, because it's going to be really hard to re-simulate this moment. And another thing that is brought to light as well is, you know, just to say we were the only ones locked down. We were the only country locked down because, you know, we're an island. We're the only ones locked down. You can leave if you go into 14 days of examinations and making sure you haven't got the virus. Yeah. And, you know, you get sprayed, all your clothes get sprayed, and then you can go to another country. Mm. How many people would stay here in these current situations? And then I say to myself, all those people that, you know, slate all these people from refugees countries who are frigging jumping on boats, they don't know if they're going to make it or not, if the people are going to take them to the place that they say they're going to take them to. You know, even if they're going to make it across, they travel across, you know, how many miles of deserts and mad forests and mountains to get to other places, because their situation is actually worse than this. Now, I've spoken to some of my Polish friends, and I never knew about this until I spoke to one of my Polish friends. And he was telling me about Poland in communist times and all of that stuff and how bad it really was. And this was coming around the election times. And, you know, he was talking about certain views of certain politicians and what don't really sit well with him. Like, he can agree with certain things, but what really hits home with him are the stuff that sounds very similar to communist times. Mm. And, you know, stuff like this, I'm sure, is causing, you know, some of my Polish friends or some of my Czech friends or some of my Russian, Ukrainian friends who have lived through those situations. And, you know, with all the conspiracy theories going around, you know, their anxiety must be at an all-time high for them. Because, you know, they thought they'd come out of that situation and it feels like it's possibly going back to those situations, or it's giving them flashback to those situations. So, yeah, I think it's really important that something in regards to mindfulness, martial arts, something where you make yourself more self-aware. And I can't see them doing it because it'd be a massive shift around the world if you were to introduce it to schools and you were giving people the opportunity to switch on.
There's so many schools that have done it, and their detention, they stick the kids in meditation, they teach them how to be, and they don't have the problem. And this is, for me, it's like, I hope that, you know, waiting for the old white dudes to die, excuse the expression, but you know what I mean? Like that old world mentality, like you need more time with your family. You know what I mean?
100%.
We need to understand that homes are not necessarily a safe space for a lot of people. Like
for a lot of people.
Gone up through the roof in countries. People are committing suicide already with their families. They've killed their families and they've killed themselves. And it's like the humanity part of it that we could never achieve before, because it was, you can't work from home and you need to do. I hope that some more humanity just comes out of this, where we're a bit more understanding. And, you know, old people left at home alone in a room all day. Why is that okay? Why is that an okay thing for any of us? Zoo animals even. Like, I know I'm a bit of a vegan, but like, you sat in a cage all day alone. There's no phone, there's no TV, there's no understanding where your family is, why you're there, and that's it for the rest of your life. There's no say, there's no one standing up. It's so like eye-opening to the horrors that really exist, and I hope there can just be some humanity at the end of it, because
I think what we've got to remember when we use that word humanity, we associate it with doing good things. No, We're humans. We're
Well, I
balanced.
mean,
We do bad things and we
that's what
do
I
good
mean.
things.
But I mean, in the humanity and seeing more people and understanding what they're going through in that. When I use that,
100%. But I think the reason why I mentioned that is to understand what humanity is, and being a human. Being a human is the fuck up. So all those guys that have gone to jail and done time or whatever, and they've been put in a situation, it's called rehabilitation, but there's no one really guiding them to that rehabilitation.
no.
You know, they're looking on the outside. They've got contact with some of the outside world. The same things are going on. They're looking at, to them, a criminal is only someone who's been caught. Because I can do a crime, I can go to court, not get charged for the crime. I've done the crime, but then I haven't been sentenced, so I'm not a criminal. I'm a criminal in the sense of I've committed a crime, haven't been charged for the crime. You can no longer, I can pull you up in a newspaper, I can sue you for, giving me a bad name because I haven't been charged for that crime despite me actually doing that crime. So, when you send those people to lockdown in prison and you're telling them, you're putting them in that situation, there's no guidance. You can't expect someone to come out and do something positive. I'm not saying that people don't, because some people know how to manage their own mind.
But it's also very difficult for them to get onto a positive, healthy thing when they come outside, because even your surroundings, like you say, when we're in these rough neighborhoods, I was the same in South Africa. I grew up in really rough areas. It was not the idea that most English people have of a white person's upbringing from South Africa.
Yeah, Joburg is no joke.
Yeah, not for sissies. I love the but the thing is, when you only have that environment. I've seen so many people get trapped. Like, they could have achieved so much. They're such great designers, and they found heroin, and these are real people that I know, that I went to school with. This is not some removed, crazy hood story. Like, I went to a private school. Like, the kids there had money, but again, had no guidance, so they would just fuck up everything, and it was like dad and mom just threw money at it. There was no connection. There was no holding you accountable to who you are as a human being. Yeah.
Well, what I would say is, going on the positive side of growing up in Northwest Harlem, Stonebridge, those areas there, is that a lot of those guys are big inspirations for me as well at the same time. So a lot of my friends, I have a nice balance of friends. A lot of those guys they've been jailed, they've done this, they've done that, they used to hustle on the road and all that stuff. A lot of them have transferred their transferable skills and now turned that into business. And they're managing businesses. They have clothing lines, they have shops. A lot of times they were constantly told, they can't do X, they can't do Y, they can't do Z. And they said, fuck you.
Yeah, look at Ben.
Fuck you. And then, Benja is one of the biggest examples. That is a public face. I know a few people who are more behind the scenes and they're doing incredibly well. But yeah, Benja, he's probably the perfect person to talk about in this kind of thing, because it's utilize that struggle to help perfect your art, to drive your art, to utilize your experience. Because, like, I remember when I first started to go to work, when I was, 15, 16, I remember people from the hood telling me, they're not going to hire a young black guy, because at the time there was a lot of that going on, and it still happens to this day. And it's just because of the dynamics. Again, I'm from the hood and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm that person who, I don't believe everything. That's your experience. I'm going to go and have my own experience. So I would go, okay, cool, no problem. And then I would go and apply for the job, and I got the job. Why? Because of my mindset. Yeah. Now, not everybody can work a 9 to 5, and I actually understand it. But doing a 9 to 5 for so many years, I understand why certain man on road can't do a 9 to 5. There's many hazards working on the road, but for your mental, doing a 9 to 5 can be one of the hardest things, because you're always constantly worried about, I can't, or for some people anyway, the places I've worked, I've always been able to speak my mind. I've either spoken my mind and left, or I've spoken my mind and I've got my manager around the fact that, fuck, Marvin's productive, but every now and again he's going to tell me something about myself. because otherwise I can't work in that environment. So when you're working on the road, you more or less do what you want to a certain extent. And when you're working in a 9 to 5, there's a big mental thing that's going on. You get caught up in this robot lifestyle where you wake up, you go to work, you feed the kids, blah blah blah. It just becomes like a Groundhog Day, you know. But there's so much more you can do with it. Like, you can still be creative, you know, with YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all these other mediums now. You have the opportunity to reach out to more people. And like I said, I'm always going to repeat, this is always going to be my thing. There's 7.8 billion people in the world, and you only need like 0.1% in order to be successful. Just because the people around you, if you can't talk to the people or relate to the people around you about the thing that you do, it means that they're probably not your market.
Yeah.
You need to go and spread out and find those people, and you're only going to get that through travel. Whether it be just to go up to Manchester or whatever. If I stay in my hood, I'm only going to be associated with like-minded people, and it's going to be very difficult to talk to people or to find people who are like-minded, but they're using that disguise of, oh, you know, I don't do this. Like I said, it's really hard to embarrass me. I have no problem in having conversations about almost any topic with my people who I grew up with, who initially we had the same views. Yeah. And as I've got older and more experienced, my views might have changed from them. But now I agree with that thing that we disagreed with back in the day. I have no problem having that conversation. You know why? I have no problem in telling people to fuck off. Like, if you don't like my views and you got a problem with it, I don't have no problem in telling you to fuck off. I've got enough people around me who I'm quite comfortable with and quite happy with. We can speak openly. I don't need those extra people. I love to meet new people, but I don't need those extra people. Why? Because I've built my foundation is solid.
Yeah.
That's the key. My foundation is solid. You can't survive without people. Yeah. I would not be who I am without those same people that people are criticizing in the hood. They molded me. I would not be the same person without my mum, without my sister, without people like you in my life. As much as I know I have a lot of friends who always come to me, and they might think that I don't learn or I can't get anything from them. No. They have been my biggest inspiration. This is the reason why I can talk and say the things that I do, because I learn a lot from people like yourself. Like, you coming to talk to me helps me with my struggle, but also I pay attention to what you say, and I implement some of the things that you actually do yourself. So I might be inspiring to do something, you go and do it. I think, fuck, man, Rickylee's doing shit that I ain't even doing now. I need to get up to speed and follow her lead. Do you know what I mean? So,
and a little jealousy, but not jealousy, but like that little spur of like, oh, well, shit works for me. Yeah, it's good.
It's called one up one shit. Like, I want to beat all my friends at what I'm doing. You know what I mean? That's inspiring. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I would say utilize your surroundings. Don't forget that you need people to be successful, but you've got to get the right people for you. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks of them. If they're doing what needs to be done for you and your goal, just put yourself in that environment where that all works.
And also appreciate that the people who are around you aren't necessarily going to be ready for your changes that you want to make for you. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that they don't love you. They're not necessarily a part of that proper journey. But we have 25 seconds remaining. Marv, are we coming back for a third?
No, let's shoot. Let's shoot. We can do this another time. I think we've covered a lot of topics.
Cool, man. Yeah? Guys, thanks for watching. Arrivederci, guys. Have a great day.
Peace out. Deuces. Ciao.